We're getting a divorce. Your body is of no use to me anymore.
My husband suddenly brought up a divorce, looking down on me for not being able to have children. He never thinks of blaming himself, always placing all the responsibilities on me. Moreover, it seems he's been bringing women to our house and having fun. I wonder why I married such a man like him. I understand. Let's just divorce then. To break away from the painful past, I embarked on a journey to Mexico. I'm determined to become happy, make him regret for sure. My name is Samantha, and I am 31 years old. I am a housewife in the first year of marriage. Although I'm a housewife, my hobby of handcrafting has led me to sell accessories. It's an online shop, so the earrings aren't much, but being able to do something I enjoy isn't bad. My husband is 38 years old, 7 years my senior. We met at a wedding party 3 years ago and managed to make it this long. My husband is handsome, but not pretentious, and his smile is wonderful, making him liked by everyone. He chose me. I couldn't contain my excitement and was head over heels for him. I was looking forward to building an ideal family with him, overflowing with dreams and hopes at the beginning of our marriage. Yet, in just the first year, misfortune began to overshadow our marital life. We have been eager to have children from the time we were dating, and after getting married, we tried hard, including checking basal body temperature and having my husband take supplements. But reality was not so simple. It seems this month is a no-go too. I become nervous every month when the time comes to check for signs. In the first 3 months, he would kindly say,
"All right, let's not get too down about this. It'll come to us eventually, right?"
But recently, he has grown tired of my anxious demeanor and no longer asks about my period like he used to at the beginning of our marriage. I was already ready to welcome a child, but now we hardly engage in activities that could lead to pregnancy. What's more, he started to throw thoughtless comments like,
"Isn't this your fault?"
It's not necessarily my fault. Though I think so, I haven't actually checked, so I can't deny it completely, and with a mindset of action over worry, I decided to undergo fertility treatments. I went to the hospital on weekdays, and on Sundays I participated in my favorite handcraft sales. Doing what I love allows me to escape from reality's frustrations. Not long after starting fertility treatments, my doctor said,
"Your husband needs to be tested too."
When I asked him, his response was unexpected.
"What? Me? No way. Solve it by yourself."
"We won't know which one of us has the issue unless we both get checked."
"I've told you I'm fine."
My husband stubbornly refused to get tested. It was a mystery why he was so confident. This exchange continued and our marital life became filled with cold days. My irritation grew more than my confusion, and I decided to go shopping to clear my mind. Huh? My credit card is missing. Where did I put it? I rarely use it, so it should have been stored in a drawer. As I searched every corner of the room, something shiny caught my eye near the bed. What's this? Picking it up, it was a pair of women's earrings that weren't mine. A present for me? That can't be right. Or has someone else been here? My husband's cheating on me? My mind was swirling with wild thoughts, and I felt nauseous. Despite wanting to believe otherwise, my husband's recent behavior had been suspicious, and I couldn't fully trust him. Even the card, I thought. Maybe something was amiss. Once I started worrying, there seemed to be no end, so I decided to check the credit card statements. I thought it would clear things up, but instead my suspicions towards my husband only grew. What's this? A hotel stay for $360? And at a woman's brand shop? $1,000? Huh? I gasped at the unexpected high expenses that I didn't recognize. This meant someone was using my card to buy things for someone else. Unbelievable. Looking back, I realized these unknown purchases started 6 months ago, with the most recent statement showing a charge of about $7,000 at a travel agency. Travel? Absolutely unforgivable. Recalling my husband's recent distant behavior, I was enraged, and I firmly decided to get a divorce. That evening, when my husband came home, he started the conversation before I could even speak.
"I'll be going on a trip this weekend. I'll be back in a week."
What? I couldn't believe my ears, but this was my chance to confront him. Who are you traveling with and where?
Huh?
He seemed surprised by the question, visibly annoyed. So, who and where? A week is a long time, isn't it?
It's overseas.
Overseas? I was genuinely shocked.
So I'll be back in a week. I'll get you a souvenir or something.
I don't care about souvenirs. Who are you going with?
Some friends from back home. Someone you don't know.
Oh, really? My response, laced with skepticism, seemed to provoke him. Are they really just friends?
Yes? Are you doubting me?
He frowned as if the suggestion was absurd. By the way, I can't find my credit card. Do you know where it is?
Your card? No idea.
His eyes darted away at the mention of the card. I see, I'll have to stop the card then.
Stop it?
Yes, it would be terrible if it was used without permission.
Wait. Maybe I borrowed it and forgot to return it.
Really? His attempt at an apology was painfully inadequate.
Here, this must be it. Sorry for borrowing yours without asking you. I couldn't find my card and needed to use one urgently. But then I found mine right before using yours, so I didn't actually use it.
The more he lied, the more he talked. It's true what they say. Is that so? Well, I didn't want him to think he could fool me with such an act. I decided to confront him with the credit card statements. I have a question then.
What about it?
About these credit card statements. There are charges for hotels, brand wallets, and even travel payments. You didn't use this card, did you? He was at a loss for words. If you say it wasn't you, I'll call the credit card company right now to check, and I'll have to block this card too.
Oh, wait a minute. I remember now, it was me. I used it. I forgot.
You forgot?
Yeah. No, the hotel was when I went drinking with a colleague from work and we couldn't get home because of a sudden rain. I, being drunk and generous, paid for the hotel.
Really? His excuses were becoming impressively ridiculous.
No, really. The charge at the woman's brand shop was for a wallet I bought, intending to give you as a present. But I lost it. Sorry.
Now that's strange. Why would you buy a present for me with a card that's in my name?
Well, I couldn't find my card at the time, but I intended to pay you back later.
I was at my breaking point with his outrageous lies. Enough. You're cheating, aren't you?
What?
Then what about this earring? Why would there be a woman's earring other than mine in our bedroom?
Well...
Finally conceding, he sighed deeply and braced himself with a look of utter annoyance.
Yeah, so what? What a hassle.
Why does the person who cheated act so defiant and high and mighty? I was astounded. Excuse me? What's with that attitude? You're the one who cheated.
So what? If you didn't want to be cheated on, you should have tried harder.
I was speechless at his absurd logic. Tried harder? How? Why is it my fault that I was cheated on? Are you out of your mind?
Can't you see? If you were cheated on, it's because you weren't attractive enough. If you didn't want to be cheated on, you should have made more of an effort.
It was useless. We were getting nowhere. Absolutely unbelievable. I couldn't believe my husband was this foolish. And then he finally declared,
Enough. We're getting a divorce. You're useless to me now.
Divorce? Useless? I couldn't comprehend how he arrived to such a conclusion. I stared at him, seething with anger. Excuse me? Do you even understand what you're saying?
I understand perfectly. I'm saying we're getting a divorce. I don't need a woman who can't have children.
His cruelty was beyond belief. It was hard to imagine someone could be this cruel. At that moment, any feelings I had for my husband disappeared and I accepted the divorce. Fine, let's get a divorce.
Good. That makes things easier. Make sure you're gone by the time I get back from my trip.
I would have left, even if you hadn't said anything. His unreasonable words pierced my heart, and I couldn't stop crying that day. Then the weekend arrived. Without any ounce of regret, my husband left for his trip as if he couldn't be happier. Moreover, he left the divorce papers on the table, filled out on his part. After being treated like this, I felt nothing but hatred for him. All I have to do is sign, and it will all be over. I submitted the divorce papers officially ending our brief marriage. A year later, it feels nostalgic, even though it's only been a short while. Having returned from Mexico, I took a deep breath. The smell of my hometown and the crowds felt comforting, different from abroad. Now I have to go home and have a lot of things to do, like unpacking and cleaning. As I was busying myself at home, I heard a familiar male voice.
Hey, I finally found you.
Turning around, there stood my ex-husband. I hadn't seen him since he left me to go on an overseas trip. Oh, what do you want? I'm busy, you know.
Don't play dumb. You've messed everything up because of your unnecessary meddling.
Indeed, after our divorce, I had hired a detective agency to investigate his affairs and, based on the evidence, asked a lawyer to demand compensation. It seems he had received the documents. I have every right to claim for it. I haven't done anything wrong, have I?
Shut up. Because of you, I've had trouble with my parents, and a rumor even spread around at work. I lost my job. It's all your fault.
He was ranting without any concern for the surroundings, clearly distressed. My fault? Everything is your fault. You're the one who left me, remember? Saying you didn't need a woman who couldn't bear children. I'll never forget it. The anger from that day remains still vivid in my memory. But I'm no longer the person who gets swayed by the bitter past with my ex-husband. I have a new partner in life by my side now.
Is something wrong, Samantha?
Carlos. Standing close by my side was my current husband, Carlos, who's from Mexico. He was the one who genuinely helped me when I was heartbroken, went to Mexico barely speaking Spanish. I taught him English and about American culture because he liked America, and he taught me Spanish since I struggled with it. Our relationship gradually developed from there. Carlos had a dream of living in America someday, and to fulfill that dream, we came back together. My ex-husband shouldn't know my address after the divorce, so he must have asked my parents where I was, and that's how he came here.
Who's this guy?
My husband.
What?
His eyes widened in surprise. I remarried. His gaze then shifted to the baby cradled in Carlos's arms.
That child is...
Yes, my child.
What? How? How could you have a child?
That's right. He seemed to still believe I was infertile, standing agape and frozen.
How? Weren't you unable to have children?
That's what you thought on your own, didn't you? I had a checkup at the hospital and there was no problem with me, but what about you, I wonder?
What do you mean?
You refused to get tested, remember? It means that the problem was with you. No children with your affair partner yet, right?
That's...
He fell completely silent. You need to get tested. The cause of infertility is equally likely to be from the male as it is from the female, right, Carlos? While holding our baby and watching the exchange between me and my ex-husband, Carlos pulled me close and glared at my ex.
I've been listening to your story. Samantha is my wife now. If you hurt her, I won't forgive you.
Carlos is an obstetrician. Through his referral, I underwent through fertility tests and was found to have no issues. This is proven by the baby Carlos is now holding in his arms. And he is set to work as a doctor at the New York hospital, having obtained his medical license in America upon our return.
What the hell?
My ex-husband still seemed to want to say something.
If I had known you could have children, I would never have divorced you. It's not too late. Let's get married again.
What? Carlos and I were speechless at his self-centered words. I never want to see you again, and there's no way I'd ever consider getting back together.
Why? You were madly in love with me and wanted to marry me. We can still make it work.
What? His words made no sense. It was as if his language had changed completely, and we couldn't communicate at all. How could I have ever married such a person like him? I was filled with regret. I have moved on to a new life. I will never see you again.
Ugh.
I looked at my ex-husband with a strong gaze. Goodbye. Now, leave my side. Carlos stood in front of him and shouted,
Leave now or I'll call the police.
I turned around and walked away with Carlos. The next day, I visited my parents' house for the first time in a while and reintroduced them to my new family. My parents were overjoyed with their first grandson, and Carlos, who could now speak English, made them very happy. My sister had inadvertently told my ex-husband where I lived, not knowing the full story. She apologized for what had happened, but in the end, I was glad I could tell him off directly. According to the detective agency, my ex-husband had been involved with multiple women even before our marriage and continued his affairs under. After quitting his job and running out of money, he was being sued for compensation by the women he had deceived, desperately seeking to reconcile with me, likely seeing me as a financial opportunity. He was truly despicable. And there was good news for our family. Actually, I'm pregnant with our second child. My parents and sister were thrilled with this news. We don't know if the baby's a boy or a girl yet, but after struggling with infertility, I am now in the happiest phase of my life. Thinking about the many forms of happiness still to come fills me with excitement. Carlos and I smiled at each other as we watched our son embracing each other and savoring this happy time.